Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be checking out the new SBC Merrick Hamsik. This is a 91 rated card, so we're going to check out to see whether he is worth getting or not. This is going to be like one of those quick videos. This is an in-game stats review. For those of you who are new to the channel, I don't really try out the player in-game because most of the times that I use players, or so far every time with this year's game, when I use a player, they do feel very similar to what their stats actually say that they are. So when you do end up using the cards, everyone's different. Like, some cards feel better for you than they will for other people. Sometimes those stats are okay for you, sometimes they aren't. I'm just going to let you guys know what I think about the certain stats. So with Hamsik's card, you have someone who is a 91 rated, so it being an SBC card is very good, because if he gets a team of the season, then his team of the season will obviously be upgraded really nicely, right? But it's a +3 rating difference between his other versions of his cards, right? So if he gets a new inform, it'll probably go up to an 89 or a 90, but you will still have that time of making this SBC worth it, because it is a 91 rated card. So when we look at his specific stats, we have someone who has 78 acceleration, 81 sprint speed with 79 agility and 69 balance. So depending on the gameplay that you are playing, and if your gameplay is slow and sluggish, you will feel the balance part a little bit more. But in terms of being a midfielder, he will do a very good job of being in the midfield, because of the fact that he is 6 foot tall, right? Now, he doesn't necessarily have crazy strength or crazy stamina, excuse me, or crazy jumping, but because he is 6 foot, right, he will still be able to win the ball in the air for you most of the times, right? His shooting stats are fantastic, obviously, because he does also have the 5-star weak foot. You don't necessarily need to have skill moves as a center mid. It's more of like an extra if they do end up giving it to you. But it's really nice to have the 5-star weak foot, so your play isn't so linear in regards to passing. Like, he is a right-footed player, so if he passes the ball with his right foot, you can do that, like facing the right side. If you want to switch to the other side with his left foot, he'll be able to do that as well, because of the 5-star weak foot. Now, defensively, his slide tackling isn't crazy, so that's more in regards to the defensive AI making those slide tackle blocks, because if you slide tackle pretty much just like anybody else in the game. But that's more for the defensive AI if they do that themselves, so maybe the frequency of them doing it isn't that great. But 81 interceptions, 82 standing tackles, 84 marking, stat-wise, for someone who is 6 foot tall and a 5-star weak foot, is very, very nice to have. 88 composure is fantastic to have. With good passing stats, good shooting stats, and good defensive stats. He doesn't necessarily have aggression, which sucks. Aggression is definitely a nice stat to have. Aggression is more when you're running after someone. If you time the tackle button properly, like you're spamming it, and the player is aggressively trying to get the ball back, that's where it's more noticeable in certain areas, right? Because one of the best players at doing this, right, is because some people wonder why someone like N'Golo Kante can outbody someone like Ronaldo, is because his card is purely about him being an aggressive defender, right? So even though he's small, he kind of pushes into the other player to get the ball back, right? So with Hamsik's card, you know, he's going to do a decent job at that in terms of aggression, because he is a tall guy. And it's going to be more of a physical battle rather than it'll be like an aggressive battle. But someone who is high medium work rates, the card that you can relate this to a little bit is going to be Paul Pogba. He's going to feel very similar to him. I have used a Hamsik card. I've used this card, I believe, one time in a draft. This card right here, or just the regular card, and every time you use him, he does feel very similar to Pogba. Pogba has like a unique dribbling thing, right, where it's like his player characteristic of him dribbling that way, but that's the best comparison I can make in regards to what type of player he's going to be. He has high medium work rates, so you can use him as a CDM, but he will be more attacking oriented. Doesn't have crazy pace to come back. It's not like, because some people use Marcelo as a CDM, right? When you're using someone like Marcelo with high-low work rates, yes, the work rates suck, but because he has like 90-something pace with good agility, good balance, he comes back into the position really nicely, especially if you control him and tell him to stay back while attacking. There's no such thing as a comeback on defense for the CDM, so when you tell him to stay back while attacking, his work rate will kind of play more of a part than your instruction will, and your tactics too, because players in the box is a really important tactic as well. But for the most part, he does come back, but with high medium, 80 pace is not crazy, but it's still decent to have in that general area. Just make sure that if you use Hamsik and you want to use him as a CDM, make sure that you have another CDM if you're using like a 4-2-3-1, or you're playing with the 4-4-2 and you have him as one of your center mids. Make sure you have that medium high in the other position, or a medium at the very least, because you want to have a good balance between your defenders and your midfielders. Now, in regards to whether or not this card is worth doing, I'm going to go ahead and check that out right now. So I'm just going to go on Footbin's main website here. And the Hamsik should be this one right here. So the price of the card is 357k, 351k. So that's up to you whether you think it's worth it. Do I think it's worth it for a 91 rated card with these types of stats as a center mid? This unique type of card, because it's an attribute kind of like a Pogba card. It's debatable, right? We have to see. What I'm going to do right now is I have to see what type of midfielders exist right now for the Serie A. Because if you're talking about, like, if you played for the EPL, then yes, definitely. EPL doesn't have crazy center mids. But if we look at Serie A players and we look at them from a specifically midfielder point of view, we want to see if there's any really, really good ones, right? So in terms of midfielder, Milinkovic-Savic is one. So that's Milinkovic-Savic is again the type of player that feels similar to the Pogbas and the Hamsiks and stuff. A little bit less balanced, and you can tell, right? Because the agility and balance is really low, and also his acceleration. So that's an attribute you definitely notice. But again, type of player in regards to who's he's similar to, it's like kind of like a Pogba or a Hamsik. So you can use Milinkovic-Savic, but Hamsik's card is a little bit better, in my opinion. And then we have, or not really necessarily a little bit better, because if you actually look at his stats, his defensive stats are balanced out really nicely, and he does have good physical stats as well as decent aggression considering how tall he is, right? Because he is 6'3" with 4 stars. So I'm not going to say he's better than Hamsik, because he definitely has different attributes that make up for certain stats. Anything else? There's Kevin Prince Boateng, who's decent. Would he be similar? Could be similar. High, medium work rates. Defensive stats aren't entirely there, and his interceptions and stuff isn't crazy there. But a decent card regardless. Has good shooting, passing, and composure, right? So that's another card you can compare it to. Let's see what else we got here. Not Matuidi, not Naglin. Those are different types of players. I think that's pretty much it. Pjanic, no one really uses Pjanic too much, so I wouldn't really make the comparison between him. I don't really see anybody else in regards to midfielders that are of similar caliber. So the players you would compare the Hamsik to would be Milinkovic-Savic, and the other card I was just mentioning, Kevin Prince Boateng. Those types of cards would be the cards you relate to. But is he worth it for 357k? Again, that's entirely up to you. You have to take into consideration that if your team revolves around the Serie A, then it's a decent team, or you have like some sort of triple link with a left back, a center mid, and a center back, because they do have Koulibaly in the team, right? So if you get Koulibaly, Hamsik, and a Napoli left back, you can get the chemistry link that way as well to get that triple links, and you can use whatever you want around that general area. But whether you think it's worth putting in 357k for someone who is untradeable, again, everyone thinks differently in regards to that, whether the player is worth it or not. But are the stats very good? I would say that they're pretty good. I wouldn't say that they're bad at all. So that's what I would say in regards to the Marek Hamsik card. Other cards that came out, like Klaas-Han Huntelaar, if you guys want me to check that out, I can too. But yeah, that's pretty much it in regards to the Marek Hamsik card. If you guys are interested in seeing any other types of videos, be sure to let me know. We're in the Chinese New Year's right now, and I'm not sure what the promo is, because as you guys know, I don't really pay attention to the promos because of reasons you guys know. So if you guys want to see me do a review for those types of cards, the new Inform that came out, because there's some good cards here and there, or anything like that, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's pretty much it. In regards to the podcast, guys, because I did the podcast recently with Spencer, and when I did the podcast with Spencer, a lot of it was very much the same of what we usually talk about. So in regards to future podcasts, I don't really see myself doing them that often anymore, because we pretty much covered everything. And I think that if we have different guests on the podcast, then it would pretty much be the same thing, right? Nothing else would be said differently. Not everyone, but most people feel the same way in regards to the game in terms of gameplay balance, gameplay content balance, and all that kind of stuff. People have a care for different things in the game. Like Spencer wanted the 2v2s, so on and so forth. Everyone wants a different thing in the game, but again, entirely up to EA whether they add it in or not. But yeah, in regards to the podcast, I don't think we're going to have them on iTunes and Spotify that much anymore. So I think that with the podcast, if we do them, we'll do them sporadically, but it'll be football oriented, like in real life football, so that I can just talk about different things with you guys in regards to in real life football, because in FIFA, again, there's not really much to talk about. So that's pretty much going to conclude the video for today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you guys enjoyed the video, please drop a thumbs up on it. Definitely helps out the channel a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.